All right, so with our handsome Mr. Teddy, ready, sir? Oh my goodness. We went out for a quick little potty break because you got to work those lovely potty breaks between practice. So I have his harness out and I want to do a little bit with practicing putting this bad boy on as well. So, oh, smart boy. So remember, if gear tends to equal some excitement, like we mentioned a little bit last week, I would recommend to sometimes hold the gear, but then not pair it instantly with being put on or with going and wrangling him. Because for some of the puppies, then the harness starts to equal like I'm getting bombarded, or it turns into a chew toy, or whatever it might be. So right now, as we're practicing, we're just doing a little bit with some of those find its, get them up and wiggling. Then let's say I wanted to work a little bit with the harness. I'm going to unbuckle it, get it somewhat situated for him. If we find gear does equal like he's interested in that, do create some movement, and that can be really helpful. I know we discussed too last week using the slow feed bowl or something similar, but I would recommend practice, as you feed him, you put his little head through the loop. He's like, I'd like to eat it. If let's say he gets a little bit unsure, I like to go right into a little find it. He's like, lady, I only have so many legs. And then as he's doing that find it on the floor, then we could go and then we could go and buckle his harness. There we go. He just was awkward. He's like, I can't stand on 3 legs. You're going to be so much more fluid later. So now with his harness on, we could then practice a few skills while still wearing it, but not always having to be necessarily hooked up on the leash. So in the beginning, ready? We might get Mr. T's attention. Teddy. He's hoping that I'm doing some more of the find its. Ready? So right here, I'm just going to feed him for being by my side. We'll do a little bit with this loose leash walking. And remember, in the beginning, I don't mind if the puppy is on the left or the right. The main goal is that we're just kind of near and we're being attentive towards the handler. So doing some check-ins throughout some meandering. Ready? Nice. I'm going to feed here. So whichever side your babe is on, I would recommend feed for having the puppy on the side that you want them on. So if he's going to be on the left side, feed on the left hand. If you lose him to a distraction, don't worry. Feed him again the moment he comes back into your space again. So working through some of this loose leash walking for Mr. T, he's now starting to realize that the good stuff happens for when we're sort of more attentive to the handler and moving into, like, let's say the side position of my leg. Just doing a really nice job. So right here, yes. So this, he says I dropped it. So this could be a with me, let's go, heel. Lots of people have different slogans. So you could even say walk, whatever behavior or whatever word for the behavior you'd prefer. Just make sure it stays consistent for the household. So right here, yes. What a smart boy. Nice. So then from here, we might go into working a little bit with some other skills. Ready? So we'll do a little find it just to get him up and wiggling, to give him a little breather. So when practicing with the handsome guy, make sure that if your gameplay is not going as smoothly as you were hoping, think to yourself, what else have I maybe not, done for the pup? Maybe does he need to go to the restroom? Is he hungry? Are his teeth bugging him? Could he be going through another growth spurt? So a lot of times our puppy's inability to hone in on certain things might be their only way to say they don't feel as comfortable. So we're going to work a little bit with some of these puppy push-ups for a few moments. So puppy push-ups, again, are working sits, downs, and stands. So a stand, yes, is getting your puppy into all 4 feet are being used in a standing position. So for down, that could be down or lie down. If you're using down as in get off of me, you may need to pick a different slogan for lying down. I typically use the word off for if I want them off of something or someone or whatever it might be. So for here, we're going to, again, lower to the ground, down, and then yes to feed. So if certain positions were harder for him, you may even want to feed him a couple snacks while in that rep. So that way he creates a little bit more value in the down than if it was, quickly rapid fire going through all of them, but then only being fed for one gets confusing. So make sure when especially you're starting is the food is given for every single one that he's offering, but then later the food would be intermittent for down the road. So let's say again for the stand, stand. He's on the brain. He's so tired. So if your puppy gets a little bit unsure right there, yes, give him the chance to figure it out. And then you might jackpot him with a couple tidbits to make him feel that standing up was kind of a cool idea. So from here, we might go into a sit. Yes. If you're finding there's certain hand signals that you guys are doing that might be different than mine, please just let me know. I don't want to confuse any of the beauties. So for the down, we were using typically a hand with a snack, lower it to the floor. He's like, and I'm there because he's exhausted. Yes. He could have maybe heard the verbal cue, who knows, or maybe he's tired, or he could be guessing. He knows typically we've been doing sits, downs, and then stands. So I would make sure, rotate through the pattern. If your puppy starts to pick up on it and you find it's always sit down, stand, your puppies try to guess what the next step might be and they start to assume, which is not a huge deal. But I would make sure that sometimes you rotate. So if, let's say he's doing a down position, maybe we go from here and we might try a little bit with our sit and then feed for that, which is a little bit harder for them. Then from the sit, we might go into a stand and we feed for that standing position. And then from here, we might go from a standing position into our down and see if we can get that down. He's like, almost got it. Yes, good job. So puppy push-ups in the beginning, if your puppies really don't understand it, you're gonna lure them into the position, and then later the food would be faded out and you'd be just asking with the visual and the verbal cues. So we could go again, stand, and then yes to feed. And then from here we might go ready. Teddy's like, I am pooped out. He's like, your shoes also smell delicious. Sit. Oh my gosh. Oh, backwards sneezing. He got a little too excited, looked up, and then he got a little backward sneeze. Oh, poor munchkin. So, and sometimes when we have a backward sneeze, we sometimes can have a little moment. So he's doing okay, but he says, oh my goodness. And I'll just see if he is needing a little water. I'm just going to see if I need to refill his water dish. Poor little baby. No, he's okay. He's still got some water. Ready, Teddy? He says, lady, I'm distracted having a drink. So while he's having a little bit of water, I just want to make sure it was still good, but I can see it from here. So when practicing with Mr. T, there might be moments where, again, the little backward sneeze happens, and then sometimes they have a little moment. Don't worry, backward sneezing is perfectly okay. If you're finding your puppy does it a lot, it could be also the excitement level. Sometimes their nose, if they're shorter nosed dogs, they tend to do a lot more backward sneezing. But it could also be the factor that for some of them, as they get excited over food, they breathe a little funny and then they inhale backwards versus sneezing outwards. So, but Mr. T is doing a really nice job for a lot of these skills. He's just tanking up a little bit on some water. I only fill it so much, so they can still have it, but I don't want them to have so much they get so full their tummies get upset. So, but for Mr. T, make sure that when sometimes you're working through those puppy push-ups, is that you're building up to it where in the beginning you might be luring. Later the food is faded out. So you're still feeding for each skill, but it wasn't the food was presented first. So we want to go from food presented first, get the behavior, feed for the behavior, to ask for the behavior and then feed for the behavior. Ready, Teddy? He's like, oh, I feel much better. Hey, handsome boy. Good job. So for the beautiful boy, though, we might try a little bit with working. He's like, lady, I'm ready. Maybe a couple eye gaze moments. So getting a look behavior or watch me. So I might go to get Mr. T's attention. I might go ready, look, and then yes to feed. So we might try again, look, and then yes to feed. He burped. So much nice snacks and water going in. So if in the beginning your puppy wasn't looking at you, you could start off with showing the food to the sniffer, bring the food up to your eyes. He's like, oh my gosh, how about a down? Really, again, whatever floats his boat. So again, look, and then yes to feed. So if in the beginning the food is helping him figure it out, perfectly fine. Then as he gets fluid, empty hand, we might go look, and then yes to feed. So he's still being fed and marked for the correct behavior with the YES, which always means here comes a food reinforcement for that skill. So, but Mr. T is getting kind of tired. So, but what I'd recommend for the handsome guy is if you are having struggles with the littles and with him and a lot of management in the sense of how do we set up everybody for good success or for better success, feel free to check in. There are some really great little humans, so kid and dog or kid and puppy resources that might be really beneficial to make sure as he's changing and growing and going from puppy to teenager, we're setting everybody else in the household up for great success. But we will rock another little look. Yes. What a smart boy. And maybe we'll give Mr. T a little breather, but he's doing a really gorgeous job. So ready? Find it. He's turning into a gigantic boy. What a smart man. So we'll do another little find it and we'll call it a day for Mr. T, but what a great job he's doing at day school.